Hello, this is the No Face Movement, and it's December the 26th, 2012. And I hope everyone out there had a great Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, or whatever your religion, faith, peaceful giving day. Alright, but I'm not here to bring you about Christmas and the true meaning. I'm here to bring you the interlude, because tonight, well, this morning, 1 o'clock in the morning, I am bringing you the apocalypse. I am bringing you the apocalypse. The word apocalypse means lifting of the veil and the revelation. We have a whole bunch of breaking news tonight. From Christmas Day storm that I put warnings and watches out for December the 25th, 24th. And I'm going to have an update till the 27th. The Code of 9. And December the 21st. And Apocalypse. The true gospel. Alright, but before we get into that, I want to share you guys something, because we are there. This lady that survived Hitler and wants to warn America. This is the No Face Movement, and I'm handing the reading over to my lovely assistant.
She survived Hitler and wants to warn America. Kitty Worthman survived Hitler. What I am about to tell you is something you've probably never heard or read in history books. She likes to tell audiences, I am a witness to history. I cannot tell you that Hitler took Austria by tanks and guns. It would distort history. We voted him in. If you remember the plot of The Sound of Music, the Von Trapp family escaped over the Alps rather than submit to the Nazis. Kitty wasn't so lucky. Her family chose to stay in her native Austria. She was 10 years old, but bright and aware, and she was watching. We elected him by a landslide, 98% of the vote, she recalls. She wasn't old enough to vote in 1938, approaching her 11th birthday, but she remembers. Everyone thinks that Hitler just rolled in with his tanks and took Austria by force. Not so. In 1938, Austria was in deep depression. Nearly 1/3 of our workforce was unemployed. We had 25% inflation and 25% bank loan interest rates. Farmers and business people were declaring bankruptcy daily. Young people were going from house to house, begging for food. Not that they didn't want to work, there simply weren't any jobs. My mother was a Christian woman and believed in helping people in need. Every day we cooked a big kettle of soup and baked bread to feed those poor, hungry people, about 30 daily. We looked to our neighbor on the north, Germany, where Hitler had been in power since 1933, she recalls. We had been told that they didn't have unemployment or crime, and they had a high standard of living. Nothing was ever said about persecution of any group, Jewish or otherwise. We were led to believe that everyone in Germany was happy. We wanted the same way of life in Austria. We were promised that a vote for Hitler would mean the end of unemployment and help for the family. Hitler also said that businesses would be assisted and farmers would get their farms back. 98% of the population voted to annex Austria to Germany and have Hitler for our ruler. We were overjoyed, remembers Kitty, and for 3 days we danced in the streets and had candlelight parades. The new government opened up big field kitchens and everyone was fed. After the election, German officials were appointed, and like a miracle, we suddenly had law and order. 3 or 4 weeks later, everyone was employed. The government made sure that a lot of work was created through the Public Works Service. Hitler decided we should have equal rights for women. Before this, it was a custom that married Austrian women did not work outside the home. An able-bodied husband would be looked down on if he couldn't support his family. Many women in the teaching profession were elated that they could retain the jobs they previously had been required to give up for marriage. Then we lost religious education for kids. Our education was nationalized. I attended a very good public school. The population was predominantly Catholic, so we had religion in our schools. The day we elected Hitler, March the 13th, 1938, I walked into my schoolroom to find the crucifix replaced by Hitler's picture hanging next to a Nazi flag. Our teacher, a very devout woman, stood up and told the class we wouldn't pray or have religion anymore. Instead, we sang Deutschland, Deutschland, über alles, and had physical education. Sunday became National Youth Day with compulsory attendance. Parents were not pleased about the sudden change in curriculum. They were told that if they did not send us, they would receive a stiff letter of warning the first time. The second time, they would be fined the equivalent of $300, and the third time, they would be subject to jail. And then things got worse. The first 2 hours consisted of political indoctrination. The rest of the day, we had sports. As time went along, we loved it. Oh, we had so much fun and got our sports equipment free. We would go home and gleefully tell our parents about the wonderful time we had. My mother was very unhappy, remembers Kitty. When the next term started, she took me out of public school and put me in a convent. I told her she couldn't do that, and she told me that someday when I grew up, I would be grateful. There were a very good curriculum, but hardly any fun, no sports, and no political indoctrination. I hated it at first, but I could tolerate it. Every once in a while, on holidays, I went home. I would go back to my old friends and ask what was going on and what they were doing. Their loose lifestyle was very alarming to me. They lived without religion. By that time, unwed mothers were glorified for having a baby for Hitler. It seemed strange to me that our society changed so suddenly. As time went along, I realized what a great deed my mother did, so that I was exposed to that kind of humanistic philosophy. Then food rationing began. In 1939, the war started, and a food bank was established. All food was rationed and could only be purchased using food stamps. At the same time, a full employment law was passed, which meant if you didn't work, you didn't get a ration card, and if you didn't have a card, you starved to death. Women who stayed home to raise their families didn't have any marketplace skills, and often had to take jobs more suited for men. Soon after this, the draft was implemented. It was compulsory for young people, male and female, to give 1 year to the labor corps, remembers Kitty. During the day, the girls worked on the farms, and at night, they returned to their barracks for military training just like the boys. They were trained to be aircraft gunners and participated in the signal corps. After the labor corps, they were not discharged but were used in the front lines. When I go back to Austria to visit my family and friends, most of these women are emotional cripples because they just were not equipped to handle the horrors of combat.
Alright folks, I'm going to have the link for the rest of the story underneath. But this is what our society is subject to today, in the year 2012, moving to 2013. Our economy is about to collapse. The international bankers, the feds, the UN, all countries have a disease in it, just like in 1930 when Hitler took over Austria. But this time, people didn't tell you the other true history about Hitler. Hitler was backed by the Catholic Church. Hitler was backed by international bankers. Alright? The international bankers and the feds backed both sides of the war. They backed Hitler to kill the Jews, return back to the Holy Lands. And now, what's happening in the year 2012? Move on to 2013. The Muslim people, not the Muslim people, not all of them, but the Brotherhood is discrimination against every other race except Muslim. They want them dead, but definitely against the Jews. And there won't be no peace in the Middle East till those Jews are gone. But the funny story is, the matter is that the Muslims weren't always Muslims. Alright? But the truth of the matter is, it's time for you to stick up for your right. This is an interlude to my presentation of the apocalypse, the one sent from the Heavenly Father. I will teach you His name and all His glory. And if you take His name in vain or anything like that, well, enough said. This is the No Face movement. Moving a movement to next time. Facing off.